Ba-da, ba-da, ba-da. Dun, dun. It's a raccoon with a talk show slinging culture facts you might not know. From the biggest flops to the greatest hits, this is Trash Can Tidbits.
Happy holidays again, everyone! Welcome to another festive installment of Trash Can Tidbits. Last week, I asked the question, which Rankin Bass special did Fred Astaire provide a second narration for? The answer is, The Easter Bunny is Coming to Town. Believe it or not, Rankin Bass not only did Christmas specials, they sometimes ventured into other holidays. One of their more rarer films was the 1977 film, The Easter Bunny is Coming to Town, which once again featured the voice of Astaire as S.D. Kluger. It was a semi-sequel to Santa Claus is Coming to Town and shares many similarities with the original, of the title character exploring his origins and spreading joy. It served as Astaire's last film before he retired. Now, this week on Trash Can Tidbits, I'm going to explore 10 things that you may not know about A Christmas Carol. The iconic story by Charles Dickens about an old grumpy miser getting a major Christmas intervention and the ultimate redemption has charmed audiences for generations. Each new audience that has discovered the story for themselves really makes it a tale that will truly last forever. I'll be looking at some neat facts regarding the story and various film adaptations. Hopefully, you'll be just as surprised to learn these as I had looking them up. Here we go with fact number 1. Did you know that the word humbug doesn't mean what you think it means? The word humbug is described as deceptive false talk, so essentially Scrooge thinks Christmas and people's festive behavior is totally fake because he thinks people will be lured into a false sense of security and then be taken advantage of. While I can understand that viewpoint, and certainly this year has brought out a lot of deceptive people and behavior, the holiday is really what you make of it. Okay, enough preaching. Let's move on with fact number 2. Did you know that an editor of a previous Christmas Carol film would go on to direct another film version? Clive Donner, who was the editor of the 1951 classic film starring Alastair Sim, would become a director in his own right. His best-known film is probably the 1965 comedy What's New, Pussycat, starring Peter Sellers. But he would also go on to direct a 1984 TV movie of A Christmas Carol starring the great George C. Scott, an actor who could definitely give Alastair Sim a run for his money. Fact 3. Did you know that the 1970 movie musical Scrooge is the only version that shows Scrooge in hell after he's shown his gravestone? The sequence was included when the producers wanted to show Scrooge what could happen to him if his soul remains eternally damned, making the Ghost of Christmas Future sequence a little longer. No other film version includes this sequence. Fact 4. Did you know that prior to playing the role in Mickey's Christmas Carol and DuckTales, Alan Young, the longtime voice of Scrooge McDuck, wrote an adaptation of the story for Disney Records. The LP was released in 1974 and stuck pretty close to how the story would be presented in Mickey's Christmas Carol, with McDuck playing Scrooge, obviously, Mickey Mouse playing Bob Cratchit, Goofy playing Marley's ghost, etc. Young almost didn't get the part of McDuck when they were testing actors, however, because Disney thought that animation wouldn't be his cup of tea. Young, however, was more than willing to come on board, and he remained the voice of Scrooge until his death in 2016. Fact 5. Did you know that The Muppet Christmas Carol was the first Muppet movie project to be made after the death of Jim Henson? Former Muppeteer Steve Whitmire, who had inherited the role of Kermit the Frog at the time, had stated that he was nervous about taking over the role. After he had a dream in which he encountered Jim Henson in a hotel lobby, and Jim said, "Don't worry, I'm just over here watching, you'll do good," Steve was more confident in taking on the part. Likewise, the film was also dedicated to Muppeteer Richard Hunt, best known for playing characters such as Scooter, Beaker, Janice, and Statler, among others, who had passed away from AIDS in 1992, the same year the film's released. Fact 6. Sticking with the Muppet Christmas Carol for this next fact, did you know that a crucial song was deleted from the film because it was considered too corny and sad? A big part of the story's plot during the Ghosts of Christmas Past sequence was when Scrooge's love interest, Belle, leaves him due to him being more in love with making money than with her. In the film, she sings a song called When Love Is Gone, which causes the older Scrooge to start crying due to the bad memories. Jeffrey Katzenberg, head of Disney at the time, requested the song be removed because he thought it was too sad and that kids wouldn't understand it. Reminder, Katzenberg was also the guy who almost took out Part of Your World from The Little Mermaid because he considered the song too boring. Even though director Brian Henson fought him against it, he got his way this time and the song was cut, but it was actually included in the VHS and first full-screen DVD releases. Since the upgrade to widescreen, however, future versions, including the one currently on Disney Plus, did not include it because it was assumed the footage was lost. Fortunately, it has since been announced that the widescreen footage has been found and is currently in the process of being restored to the film. Fact 7. Did you know that Mickey's Christmas Carol was the final performance as well as a debut performance for two veteran voice actors? The short featured the final performance from Clarence Nash, the longtime voice of Donald Duck, as Scrooge's nephew Fred, in an illustrious career that spanned almost 50 years. In contrast, the voice of Mickey, as Bob Cratchit, was the first to be provided by Wayne Allwine after inheriting the role in 1977. He continued to be the voice of Mickey until his death in 2009. Fact 8. Did you know that, excluding cameos and small voice roles, Bill Murray took an extended leave of absence from acting between 1984 and 1988? 1984 saw the release of Ghostbusters, but Murray allegedly took the role of Peter Venkman because he wanted to produce his own film, an adaptation of W. Somerset Maugham's novel, The Razor's Edge. It was his first film as a dramatic actor, and he wanted to branch out, and agreed to star in Ghostbusters in exchange for Columbia producing the latter film. However, The Razor's Edge was a commercial failure, and Murray relegated himself to little to no work for the next 4 years, including a cameo in Little Shop of Horrors in 1986. He wouldn't return to the screen in a leading role until 1988's Scrooged, a modernized remake of A Christmas Carol. Fact 9. Did you know that Disney has produced 3 film versions of A Christmas Carol, the most of any company in the world? They, of course, started with Mickey's Christmas Carol in 1983. The first full-length version was in 1992 with The Muppet Christmas Carol, and the third was 2009's motion capture animated version starring Jim Carrey. The latter film was also the first theatrical film adaptation in which Scrooge does not visit Bob Cratchit's house on Christmas Day at the end to announce that he's giving him a raise. Instead, that movie ends the day after Christmas at Scrooge's office, which is more true to the book. Fact 10. Did you know that the 1999 television version of A Christmas Carol starring Sir Patrick Stewart came about through a series of one-man shows that Stewart himself starred in? Throughout the late 1980s and 1990s, Stewart was coming to the attention of worldwide audiences as Captain Picard on Star Trek The Next Generation, but he was already known as an acclaimed stage actor. During his time making the 1986 film Lady Jane starring Helena Bonham Carter, he had run out of things to read in his hotel room and realized he had never read A Christmas Carol. He became so enchanted with the story that he started performing the story as a one-man play throughout the 1990s to great acclaim. The show was so well received that he eventually got to play Scrooge on screen himself in a TV movie in 1999 to even greater acclaim. And here's this week's trivia question. The Disney film The Great Mouse Detective is a severely underrated film in the Disney canon, but it's totally worth your time and attention. For those who haven't seen it though, it's basically a mouseified version of the stories of Sherlock Holmes with rodent counterparts of the iconic characters. For good measure, the producers made sure to include a speaking cameo from Sherlock Holmes himself. My question to you is, true or false? Sherlock Holmes' voice is that of the actor most associated with the role, Basil Rathbone. And there we go for this week. I hope you got to learn some neat facts about the most famous Christmas story in the world. I felt it was a good lead up to the holiday. Hopefully next week, I'll have some more holiday facts for you. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and ring the bell for future video notifications. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.